Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps, it is I, your host, the most Renaissance man, who always thinks he can. And oh yeah, your champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts. It's spinning again. Back in the yard streams for another edition of the Smackdown Breakdown, presented to you by Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show, where we take no nights off. And obviously, it's not just me in the yard of streams. We also got the best of the West. You can't forget about Sara Marshall. What's popping, girl?
Hey, yo.
Hello.
What's popping? How we doing?
I would be better if my cat wasn't trying to.
You are getting attacked, I will say. You are getting interfered with here.
It's very frustrating. I love her so much, but oh my God, my leg is not a scratching post, you know?
It feels like you're getting chopped right in the thigh right now.
Yes.
That's so tough.
Yeah.
I don't have any of that. We got family dinner upstairs. So all I hear is just like children's feet running and whatnot. So it's a different type of issue, but not really. You know, I love it's nice. Yeah, we're here. It's a Sunday, not the Saturday. Just kind of I don't really want to job. It's a good day. I've also slept till 4:00 today.
Wow.
But here's the thing, everyone's like, why? Like, what are you doing? It's the job, you know what I mean? That's what happens when you wake up at 4 a.m. every day. You know, I get 2 days off, and then you rest and recover one day and back at the next. I love it though. It's a nice, like, especially my bed too is an issue. This is a real issue that I have with my bed, is that I can't get up out of it if I am the teensiest bit tired, because it's that comfortable. And it may be the most comfortable bed I've ever slept on. So to sleep like 10 plus hours on it, it's really not an issue. It's not.
Must be nice.
It's really tough. It's really tough. That's why we got this couch here. But no, we're back in the yard streams. I see we got some peeps in the chat, so let's hear from them. Go Pats. We're back Saturday. Bailey Zappi is gone.
He is?
What did Sara?
Did I miss breaking news?
I know. Do you have to like go to the other universe, the football verse, and leave us in the wrestleverse?
I'm not seeing anything.
I'm not seeing anything either. I didn't even hear it. Well, granted, what I just say, I was asleep till 4. I wouldn't know this thing.
I haven't seen anything, so I don't think so.
Vinny with the Ayo to you, Vinny. All right, and yeah, we got some people here. Oh, he's predicting.
Oh, okay. You scared me.
Yeah, we can't.
I mean, I wouldn't care if he was gone, but I felt like, oh crap, do I have to go?
Oh, that would be Champ had to take over here, but luckily he does not, and I don't have to lead off the Smackdown breakdown talking about, I would say, your favorite group, the two dudes that are in front of us right now. I feel like you can just go on and on about that. I'll let you take the floor, girl.
Did you mean to pun there?
No, I didn't.
Do you get it?
Didn't. Can you repeat it?
When you said I could go on and on, that's their song. That their entrance theme is called On and On.
No, I didn't get it. See, that's how good I am. That I just, you go.
Well, anyway, I didn't want to I wasn't gonna go super in depth about this because I know virtually nobody cares except for me. But I did really appreciate that the backstage segment we saw between Tiffany Stratton, and Pretty Deadly last week was not a one-off, and that they were incorporated into Nia's championship celebration, and that we did get a small little glimpse of what Pretty Deadly the musical would be. And I'm sorry, but like, this was incredible. People were hating on it. There are a lot of people were loving it, but there's a lot of people that also just hate on it. And it's like, come on, guys, like, it's meant to be silly, it's meant to be funny, it's meant to be entertaining, and that's what they are. Like, you don't have to like their gimmick. You don't have to like them, but you can't deny that they're entertaining. So,
entertaining.
Yeah,
The outfits too. The outfits during the celebration were top notch.
Yeah, I really want to see more from them. Like, ideally, I would love to see them be treated a little bit more seriously, obviously, because they were multi-time tag team champions in NXT, NXT UK. So, like, I would love for them to be treated like an actual tag team in the division and whatever, but we'll see. I mean, if the Street Profits can beat the Bloodline, then there's an opening right there. So, that would be nice.
Them and
But
the Street Profits would be a really good feud.
people also just don't realize,
really
as I'm like on my soapbox constantly, but like people don't realize that Pretty Deadly are actually good wrestlers too. They're not just a joke. They're not a joke. You know, there's a reason why they were brought from NXT UK to NXT and why they were brought up to SmackDown. It's not because they were, you know, I don't know, Santino Marella, where for the most part you knew him for his comedic acts. You know what I mean? But I just had to touch on that before we obviously get to Queen Nia Jax. And her celebration, which it looks like she borrowed the throne and the carriers from Bayley from WrestleMania. Because
they had him in the back still.
Yeah, so I mean, I was for it. I do think what the most interesting part about this whole thing, of course, before Meechin interrupted, is the hint of potential drama between Miss Tiffy and Nia. I think that was a really good like little thing to throw into this whole thing, because we see Nia say like, "Oh, I need people to bow down to me," and she asks Tiffany to be the first one.
To bow down.
And you can tell like Tiffany was not that interested, hence why she was like, "Oh, we all will," and then obviously it never happened. So, you know, people assumed that maybe Tiffany was going to turn on her eventually or something. It looks like they're definitely laying the groundwork for something like that to happen in the future. So I am here for it.
It's going to be a really good feud when that happens too. And I do like the little tension of having Tiffany not bow right away. Because if you do have her bow right away, it does show a sign of weakness for her.
Yeah.
It kind of like, in a way, delegitimizes her. You need to build Tiffy as the puppet master behind the whole charade. You need to have her be that, so that it gives also. Yeah.
Charade.
Well, I say charade, tomato, potato.
Whatever.
So
okay.
You need to have her be that puppet master, because when that payoff happens, it also will legitimize her entire Money in the Bank carrying streak, or whatever you call it.
Well, and
reign, her own Money in the Bank reign.
Her feuding with Nia, with as hated as Nia is, and they've been trying to make Tiffany heel. It's not working, obviously. So this would be like a really easy way for them to make her a very obvious babyface.
Yeah.
You know, if she eventually turns on Nia, like I wouldn't be surprised if we see the typical relationship that comes to a head between the two of them, where, you know, Tiffany's with her, they're like buddies, she's kind of like the sidekick, and Nia just takes things too far one day, and that's when Tiffany decides to cash in on her. Like, it's a tale as old as time, and I think that's totally fine in this situation, and it would benefit both of them. So I'm for it. And if that's a way that Tiffany becomes like women's champion on SmackDown, then yeah. Yes, please.
Need that reign. I need it. I need Tiffy time as champion.
I want that briefcase so bad, but it's insane. So it's a pre-order right now, and they're not going to ship them until December.
Christmas.
So I was but 6 months.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I'm not disagreeing with that.
That's ridiculous. When they came out, I was like, 6 months is going to take for you guys to put this out? Like, what was the point? Because to me, it's like, then doesn't she have to hold it until at least December? Because what would be the point of her cashing in before everybody else gets it, you know? But anyway, what were you going to say?
I had a thought that this whole collaboration we've seen with Pretty Deadly and Tiffany so far, kind of putting couple things together. Imagine having Pretty Deadly align themselves with Tiffy to build her up as, this dominant force or whatnot. Have a creative little faction there. I don't know. There's something there that there's a lot going on here that we saw already with the celebration that it did a job. I thought it was entertaining. A lot of other people probably thought it was entertaining, hopefully. But there's chemistry there that I don't want to just see go to waste.
Well, that's why I said I was glad last week wasn't just a one-off.
Yeah,
I'm glad that they were incorporated this week. And it went along with Tiffany basically making a ceremony for herself because it wasn't.
Oh, it was 100% herself.
Yeah, it wasn't for
brilliant.
Nia because Nia's not about pink and girliness and, Pretty Deadly performing.
Balloons.
Whatever. Yeah. But what I did like too is, everyone was assuming that Tiffany was maybe going to be her first opponent or that she was going to cash in soon or something. I don't know. But instead, I like that they're rewarding Michin because she has been everywhere. She's been doing double duty on SmackDown and on NXT. She's been having killer matches that have been really going under the radar. So I think she's like a great first opponent for Nia, assuming that she's not going to win if they really want to keep the title on Nia for an eventual handover to Tiffany. I do think that her and Nia could have like a good feud, a good few matches, and I think Michin deserves to be in that position. So I thought that was like a really good decision from them.
I'm very happy that Michin is being put as Nia's first feud. Michin has been the workhorse.
Yes, that's what I
SmackDown.
just said. I know you weren't listening, but go ahead.
Sorry, I've been dealing. My children are coming downstairs.
It's okay.
But I agree with you in all the way. But Michin too, I also have a personal soft spot there because it is a nice recognition for the girls who were not in WWE just like before, like Tiffy went up.
Yeah.
Like, it's the indies coming in. She did time in TNA and whatnot. Yeah. And then like Chelsea Green is getting spotlighted too. Like you can see that a new era is coming where you're not just having these, women be put in these positions just to be put in them. It's like, oh no, I could see them being in it. It legitimizes the position. I love it.
Yeah. So I think that's good. And I do find it interesting with the throwing in Chelsea because I feel like Chelsea is almost a tweener at this point because she comes out there and she goes at it or whatever with Michin, but she said she was going to go out and do the same thing that Michin was going to do to Nia. So I'm like, okay, but wouldn't she then be the babyface in that situation? It feels like all of these little things that they have her doing. It's just like, I think, we were talking a little bit before about this new report claiming that Triple H pays attention to what is being said on Twitter and on social media. And it feels like that might be, I might be looking too much into it, but I wouldn't be surprised if how he's been going about things with Chelsea is a result of the reaction from her online, because there are people that are going to be like, oh, she's so annoying, blah, blah, blah. But so many people are entertained by her because she's just so good at what she does. It's hard to hate her. So it feels appropriate to like have her kind of in between, and depending on who it is and what's going on, that depends, that dictates what she's going to be doing. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting because technically, I guess she could go against Nia.
She could, but Nia needs a one-off.
No, I know. I don't mean right now. I just meant
no, but it's nice to have Chelsea in that role. It's perfect. She's legitimately perfect for that role where you just need her on screen. You need her on screen anyway, and you got to kind of build her up for people who are just like pretty much banging down the doors, like, just give it to us already. Give us Chelsea in the main event picture.
Yeah.
She's doing a role. She's laying some foundation right now. It's all right.
I think her versus Tiffany would be interesting for the women's title. That's like a dream.
Ooh.
Because at that point, if they're going to continue going with Chelsea as kind of a tweener, but more so leaning towards being a heel, going against the babyface Tiffany, I would be into it.
I would be very into that. That's why I don't want that to be a one-off either. So I want
Yeah,
that
no,
like
no,
a
no, no.
Royal Rumble. I
Yeah.
want that maybe at Mania. Like there's, you know.
Oh my god. Can you imagine a Tiffany versus Chelsea at Mania? Oh my god. I would die. Another thing that I said this because I watched Smackdown today, actually.
Nice. Fresh in the mind.
Everybody that watches these matches between Andrade and Carmelo, I love how people are loving them, whatever. But where we need all of these people to be excited about Andrade, because these matches are good, not because just Carmelo Hayes is in the match. And that's where it feels like a lot of people are overlooking Andrade, because Andrade is great and y'all just need to jump on the bandwagon with me, okay? Because it literally is like, I would be okay with seeing them wrestle every single week for the rest of my life. Like, if they could do that, I'm fine with it. Like, it's so good.
I've seen a lot of not reports, geez, a lot of chatter on Twitter about them doing a best of 5 or a best of 7, and it got me thinking. Like, yeah, obviously it's easy to say, but when you look at the best of 7s and best of series in the past, they've all been between legit two fighters. You know, they actually meant something. It wasn't just to get people on TV. Like I remember, I would put this up there with the Cesaro Sheamus best of 7 that went on. You just need this because the wrestling fan now kind of want something that's not just, a feud based on backstage antics or a little bit more than that. They sometimes just want a feud between two dudes who believe that they are better than the other in the ring and are going to prove it every week. They could do a best of 7 at this point and it would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Well, and I think that maybe it's just because of where they were. The Orlando crowd was great, but we know that that's a wrestling crowd. So
it is a wrestling crowd.
But I do feel like, in a way, we've seen somewhat of an evolution of WWE fans over the last, I don't know, maybe decade or so, where people are more interested in seeing really good wrestling matches and not just matches with, oh, they had these incredible spots, or, oh, this is only meant to put this person over. It's like, no, people really want to be entertained by the wrestling, not just the feud, not just the promos, not just the whatever. Like, they want to actually see a good wrestling match, which is something that I think people don't often associate with WWE fans. At least that's not a talking point, that AEW fans use. They say, like, oh, if you watch WWE, you like the entertainment. If you watch AEW, you like the wrestling. I think WWE is getting better about incorporating both, and that's something that you can't say about AEW, as we've talked about, where they do very much lean toward wrestling and not building like great storylines and whatever. I think WWE is getting to a point where they're kind of like having a perfect mesh of that, and this is an example. It's like, people they know that Andrade is a great wrestler. They know that Carmelo Hayes is a great wrestler, but they're not really invested in them since they've been on SmackDown, which is a shame, because obviously, like, they're both so talented, and Carmelo was the biggest thing in NXT before he came to SmackDown. But the way that they've been handled so far hasn't really gotten people like excited to see them. You know what I mean? Like, Andrade was the speed champion, and like, whatever, like, no one was making any noise when he came out. But and the same could be said about the match when the two of them came out for this match. There wasn't a lot of crowd reaction, but when you watched it, they were super into the match. I mean, I think they even got the "This is awesome" during the.
They got a couple of those.
Yeah,
they got a couple of those. That Spanish fly off the top rope was insane.
And that's why it's like, I don't know if maybe they have to go all out with guys like this to remind you of how good they are. And that's a way to get people behind them, or to care, or to want to see them. Like, because not everybody is going to be familiar with somebody from NXT, or they're not going to be familiar with Andrade and his, before he was back in WWE. I don't know. But I think, yeah, they are the latest match that I feel like I could see it every single week, and it's exciting, because I think that there is a lot of potential with this feud. And I hope that they just keep going about it the right way, because I think both of them deserve that, you know.
They deserve a spotlight. They do. They need their spot on SmackDown, and they're earning it right now. 100% agree.
Yeah, so I just hope it keeps going. But we shall see. So did you want to look at some comments really quickly before we move on?
Yeah, let me just... I'm trying to stay hydrated, Sarah. My new thing for 2024 is being constantly hydrated.
Yeah, this was something I told you at Mania. I told you to stop drinking soda. I was like, drink some water.
Drink that much soda.
Every
what
time
I just call it?
Soda.
That was bad. That was bad. That was bad. I didn't drink that much soda, maybe.
No, but what I'm saying is every time you would get a drink, you did not get water. So I was saying, like, you need to get water because that's going to keep you hydrated. But
agreed,
also,
like,
you have to remember, I'm from the desert now. I come from the desert.
You do live in the... You are like a cactus.
So I literally only drink water, basically.
Yeah,
iced coffee and water. That's all I drink.
That's me. I do a new thing now where I mix the water in the iced coffee.
Okay. Well,
it's already watered down from the ice. What's the worst of putting more water in it?
Well, I mean, I guess
it's gonna get filled up with water anyways. Might as well get a little coffee kick from it. You know what I'm saying?
I guess.
After Nathaniel and Ashton greeted each other, which is nice. We're seeing interaction in the chat. Bernard's here. Fun fact, Sarah.
Up? I saw your text, but go ahead.
But Bernard and I are in a Madden League together. All right. That's getting actually streamed over on twitch.tv Nonsense Sports Network. I'm very excited for that. And Bernard, I swear to God, you don't want these hands, bro. You do not want these hands. But no, other than that talk, he did say in the chat here that they are planning with Charlotte Tiffany at Mania.
I don't want it.
Why?
Because fuck Charlotte.
Oh, okay. Personal. Okay.
Because the thing is, this chick missed Mania this year. She lost at Mania last year. Do I really see her coming back and being willing to put Tiffany over at WrestleMania? Absolutely not.
Yes.
No, I don't see her doing that. Should she? Yeah. Will she? I don't know. She basically only put Rhea over because she was planning on taking a vacation after Mania for 39. So,
I mean, sometimes things happen like
Charlotte is in business for herself. There's nothing you can tell me otherwise. Her and Mercedes Moné. That's why they are not the best of the 4 horsewomen. So there's definitely more comments than that. So
not gonna lie, not really.
Okay.
We need something like that, like the best 5 we were talking about, the 5 Stages of Hell feud. Something similar to that, but more pure wrestling based.
But they also need to make it known that that's what's going on, because I think this was their 3rd match, so now they're 2-1. So they need to, like, I mean, I guess it looks like they could be getting to that point because of them brawling after the match was over and like having to be broken up or whatever.
Slapped them, yes.
Yeah, so it feels like they're trying to build it for something bigger, which I think is the right thing, because people might not be overly invested in either of them individually, but people are getting invested in this matchup. So it would only be fair to them and I think the fans to like keep it going and add some sort of stipulation or something in it to make it a little bit more interesting, you know.
I agree. I'm trying to look for more comments here.
Also, welcome Rolex, because I don't think I've seen you before.
Rolly with a diamond, Rex. Good to see you, pal. I don't agree with your point that Andrade should team with Charlotte right away.
No, I don't want to see that. I really don't want to see that. Oh my God, it was already bad enough when she started being like, I have my own poppy girl bye.
I thought that was a good zinger, by the way, but you have your own.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't like Charlotte.
It's so funny. I just find it so funny.
I don't like Charlotte. Is she really talented? Yeah. I can't.
It's really, yeah, I mean, it already is a matter of time.
Okay.
New comments. All right, that's it. That's all I got. Okay. What we got next, Sarah?
Yeah,
let's talk about it.
We got to see Queen Blair Davenport, because she's a queen, versus Queen Naomi. Naomi is a queen also. But this match wasn't it. And it's not because these girls are not talented. It's not because, of anything necessarily negative. I would say this probably has a lot to do with them never wrestling before, as far as I know. And so it's like they're inexperienced with each other. They don't really have that natural chemistry. And so it made it a little bit, I mean, the best way that I could say it was awkward. And part of it is like, I don't know if I would have felt that way if I didn't already know that other people did, because I didn't watch it until, almost 2 days after it aired. And I had already seen everybody's reaction to it. And they were like, oh, it was kind of awkward. They just don't have that chemistry, blah, blah, blah. So when the match came on, I already knew, like, oh, I was prepared for
Glass
it. Like,
shattered before.
it's almost like I was looking for it,
Yep. Yeah.
So like, because you said through your first watch, you didn't think it
didn't
was
look
like
that terrible. No,
yeah.
I'm with you. It wasn't that bad. But then you texted to, or not even that. I saw it in the banners.
Yeah.
And went back and watched it. And the one thing, it was awkward because it wasn't bad. I don't want to say the match was bad, but it was all about chemistry. You could tell that these two have really never stepped in the ring with each other. And I'm only saying that because I know I don't want to say, oh, they never have, and then bullshit cage match ratings come up. So like, you could tell immediately that there was just no chemistry there. And the finish, like, everything that was important into the match was fine, and Blair won at the end of it. So that's why I'm just like, okay, cool. You need to build up her. So the result of the match makes me forget about the botchiness that happened.
And it wasn't even like
so,
botchy.
And it wasn't even
it was just like, it was like
slow. Like the timing, their timings were very different.
It was just very, you could see that they were like setting up for certain things and like
Too
whatever.
early.
So it was almost, at certain moments, it almost felt like it was in slow motion. And I think that's what caught people's eye. And that's the thing, is like, I get it. If you can watch it and you can feel that, then yeah, you are going to be like, oh, it was kind of awkward. But for me, it's like, if it would be a lot different if these were two people that have been in the ring together a ton of times, then you could kind of be like, okay, what's going on here? Why did that look like that? I think it's so much more forgivable when it's people who are just not used to wrestling each other. You can kind of see this for what it is and be like, okay, you can acknowledge that it was a little bit awkward, it's a little clunky, but it wasn't bad. No one messed anything up. They weren't sandbagging each other. They weren't doing anything to like make it look bad intentionally. So that's why it's like, okay, if this continues after they wrestle like 10 matches against each other or something, then it could be like, all right, what's going on? But I think that, this was a fine match. It's obviously continuing the 3-on-3 feud that they have going on with Bianca and Jade and the Unholy Union. And I'm just glad that Blair is finally being on TV. So it's unfortunate that, it's not her first match, but one of her first matches on SmackDown is going to be remembered for this, but she's a queen. I want to see her. She's so cool and she's so different. So that's why I just want to see her thrive. But
she thrives so bad.
Yeah, I do too. And then we see Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller.
I before we hopped in here was rewatching this, and my reaction, I was so giddy after KO just put Grayson Waller in a blender after he walked up behind him as he was talking shit about him, all that. And it reminded me how good Kevin Owens is and why he is without a doubt my favorite in not on SmackDown, but all WWE right now. He never misses. And the match itself was very good.
One-sided, but
yeah, that's what it matters. I mean, one's fighting for the WWE Championship, the other is teasing a breakup with his boy band member Austin Theory. So to me, it was great, and the fact that you had afterwards the shenanigans that did happen.
Well, we're gonna talk about it.
I'm just teasing it.
Yeah.
Really, really gets me excited because I have not seen that type of KO. That KO that I fell in love with when he got here, and even made me watch old ROH memories of him and him as Kevin Steen. Oh, I could just go on and on, but Sarah, please take us to what happened.
I think yeah, the match was fine. I think you expected this given the fact that Kevin Owens has been basically on again, off again feuding with Theory and Waller for what feels like 8 years at this point.
Chops him.
But I think, I don't know, the biggest takeaway for me from this before whatever happened afterwards is I'm just kind of confused about what they're doing with Theory and Waller, because it feels like they have been teasing this eventual breakup for so long, and they keep moving it forward and then taking like 3 steps back, and then they're like trying to catch up to where they were. So they teased it a little bit when they were having the conversation in the back before Kevin snuck up on them, with Waller saying, you kind of threw me under the bus, like you put me in this match, like what are you doing? And so they tease it again, but then it's like nothing comes of it. So I think that's where I was more so looking at this from, because I don't really understand the point of keeping them together.
I do.
Well, I want to see the breakup happen. That's what I want, because I think they haven't been tag team champions for a while, and so I don't know. I want to see Austin Theory babyface Austin Theory. That's what I want to see.
He's teasing it, Sarah. He's making Waller get a taste of his own medicine before he actually does it, and he's the one who turns. It's so right in your face.
I think that they got to a point though when they were feuding with DIY where people were begging for Theory to do it, and that time has passed. So that's why I'm concerned if they can get back to that point, because people were so behind Theory. That is not something that is always easy to do, and so I feel like they might have missed their opportunity, and I'm hoping that they didn't, because I think that babyface Austin Theory could be really good, and so I hope that they can replicate that reaction from the fans again whenever they eventually do decide that Waller and Theory are done. So
yeah, Jay's right. He
is. Yeah, I know. You would think I would get used to that by now, but I'm impatient a lot. So but as we alluded to, there was potential tease of a heel turn from Kevin Owens, which a lot of people have been discussing recently. Since the match was announced with Cody Rhodes at Bash in Berlin, people have said, okay, we really need KO to turn heel, not just because he's going against one of the biggest baby faces in the company right now, but also because people love heel Kevin Owens. So we saw a little bit of that after their match concluded, and they were all trying to go after each other, whatever. We see Cody come out to try and save the day, which he presumably does. And then we see Kevin kind of like with the chair for a little bit longer than I think most people liked to. Then he also picked up the championship before Cody could, and it was like,
this was the telling. This was the tell. He picked up the championship and held it on too long. It's clear as day sign that maybe KO wants a little bit more than he alluded to.
I think it's time, not just because I love heels and I'm biased, but when we think about it, there's really no top heel on SmackDown right now that isn't the Bloodline. And even then, it's like arguable that Solo is the top heel, and that's just because like most people don't buy into him as this big time heel. Yeah,
Jacob Batu is the top heel.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Tonga Loa is the top heel.
No, people love Tonga Loa because he's so bad. But whatever.
Why is he wearing an eye patch? I'm sorry. I don't get it.
I don't know. My heart is with Tama Tonga, so I don't really care. But anyway, I think Kevin Owens being the top heel on SmackDown would be an incredible move, and for him to go after Cody is, I mean, there's so much history between them, and I think people for some reason have been complaining about Cody's title reign, which I don't understand, and I think people are just fickle pickles, as you say, because people wanted Roman to no longer be the champion. They wanted to see Cody win the title for the first time in his family, which he did, and then the second that he did that, people decide that he sucks and his title reign is bad, even though basically every single match that he has had defending the title has been really good. I think him versus Kevin Owens would be killer because of their history together. And because people love Kevin so much, like, even though he would be the bad guy, people would automatically be interested in him being the bad guy in a feud with Cody. So if people are concerned about a Cody Rhodes title run being stale or whatever, having a trilogy or something with Kevin, I think, is like the ultimate move to do right now on SmackDown, especially.
And if there's anyone that can do it, it's Kevin Owens.
Yeah. Oh, and I think he just needs that spicing up with his character. Like, as much as we love funny Kevin Owens and whatever, he can still do that as a bad guy. And I think that's where he thrives the most. You know, it's like he is a heel at heart. As great as it is to see him as basically himself when he is a good guy, I think we all know that, like, everybody loves heel Kevin Owens, and if they can make him into being that guy on SmackDown right now to counter Cody Rhodes, you know, I'm like, please do it. Like, please. We need saving from the Bloodline being the only bad guys on the show. So
he does make better heel than babyface.
I think as far as like storylines and stuff goes, yes. I think that he's a fine babyface. I don't hate him as a babyface because he's generally not overly corny, and that's what always makes my skin crawl with the like over baby faces. Like,
hi guys, I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna fight with heart.
Like CM Punk doing that. Ugh. Like, Punk.
You here.
But even Cody sometimes, like, I can't handle some of the things that he said. But again, it's like a lot of the people that I love the most, it's rooted in them being heel for most of their career, or at the beginning, you know, when I started liking them. So it's like John Cena and Cody get passes from me when they're really corny and awkward to me. But Kevin is never really like that when he's a babyface. I just think that, yeah, he thrives as the bad guy. And so I would love to see that. Then we go to LA Knights, which again, I am not loving.
You gotta enjoy this. I gotta enjoy it.
I love LA Knight being United States champion. I love his new theme song, first of all. I loved his old one, but I think this one just sounds so much more like...
It sounds cooler.
It's a Def Rebel remix that I can actually get behind. You know, like, it's almost kind of like how they went since Pretty Deadly's here. The way that Pretty Deadly's music, when they came up to SmackDown for the first time, they still had their NXT music, and it just felt like NXT music. You know what I mean? It felt like something that wouldn't be on the main roster, whereas now their new song main roster. And I feel like that kind of is what it is with LA Knight now. It just feels intentional. It feels like this is a guy on SmackDown, you know? But of course, if Santos Escobar doesn't have the LWO to feud with, well, there's LA Knight, because it's the United States title, and Esco cannot get away from the United States title, apparently. So
Escobar. See,
no. So LA Knight, his first feud is going to be with Santos Escobar. So he just comes out and talks his trash. Love that he called him Esco. And yeah, I mean, this is part of the problem, like we were just saying, is there are not a lot of like decent or good heels on SmackDown right now. So it kind of puts LA Knight in a bubble where it's like they're trying to figure out who he could feud with for the US title now that he's finally champion, and Logan's clearly not around, so he can't even do the whole like rematch thing with him. So
rematch.
No, I know, I don't care, but I'm just saying, like, the typical path that they would follow in this instance, it can't be. So, I mean, the thing is, as much as I'm not interested in Santos Escobar at this point, because I just don't care what they're doing anymore, him and LA Knight are going to have good matches. So at least, like, if I can complain about, okay, I don't love that it's him being the opponent, at least I know it's going to be a good match. So,
agree with that.
Yeah. Because after this, I don't even know who LA Knight could feud with, unless, like, I mean, like, I don't know. And that's the part. What?
Mello.
Oh, I guess that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Mello right after this.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. That would be a good one.
Or Andrade, who make it literally at this point. Oh wow! I just had a thought. That's why I'm fucking champ. Why don't you continue this best of something series between Andrade and Mello and have the winner be the number 1 contender for the US title? Look at that.
Yeah.
That's fucking
I
brilliant.
mean, that would be Mello for sure, just because I don't want to put Andrade versus LA Knight. Not yet.
Not
when they're trying to build up Andrade to get people to even care about him. They're not going to then put him against a guy that would make nobody care about him. Like, I don't think that's a good idea, in my opinion. But yeah, we'll see. I don't care. LA Knight's on TV. He's getting some of the loudest pops every single night, so I don't care as long as it's like, he's on TV. I'm good. Then we move on to, I mean, I would say that Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes was a match of the night, but it definitely was going to rival DIY versus the Street Profits. And everybody knew this was going to be a phenomenal match because of who was in the match. You knew it right away. The second that they were both that they were going to be facing each other, that we found out last week, you knew that it was going to be great. And it more than delivered. A lot of people said it gave NXT Black and Gold era vibes.
It really did. No, it did.
And that's the thing that I love, because Triple H will hit the nail on the head sometimes in situations like this, where he just tells them, go out there and just do it. Just kill it. Take the time that you need. You got this much time. Do whatever. Like, I don't care. It's because he knows that, like, he can trust them, and that feels like this situation. But I'm also happy for the Street Profits because, I don't love that DIY lost the titles when they did, and I don't love that they lost it to the Bloodline, because I feel like it makes no sense. It's done nothing for the Bloodline, but that's a story for another day. I wish, that didn't happen, but the Street Profits have been floundering for like the last year. And then they, attempted to do this whole faction with Bobby Lashley, which should have been great, but they just like did not know how to book it at all. And I think that they tried to turn them heel. It didn't work. So now they're just back to the normal, lovable Street Profits that everybody has wanted to see. So I was glad to see that they were in this match and were able to like show you again, like to remind you who they were, because it's like, it feels like it's been a while since you've been able to see that from them. And you could tell, were like thriving.
They were thriving. I believe that this was the Angelo Dawkins coming out party, where a lot of people have been calling him the Jannetty, where I don't believe there is one in this group, which is fucking fantastic. Dawkins had a lot of moments in this match through the comebacks and whatnot that he legitimized himself as a standalone talent, successful standalone. The moment that stands out to me was the false finish of the what's it called? The tail ending, fairy tale ending, and the super kick. Like, he kicked out of that, and that was after a meet in the middle. Just little things like that, kicking out of, really signature moves and big moves like that, really solidifies you as a next. Okay, he's pretty. He knows what he's doing. Ball. So I love that, and I'm happy that he had that moment, because he needed that with all the hype going on around Montez.
Well, and people don't give him enough credit. Like, there's so many videos. I don't know if he posts them or what, but he's always training at Natty's school.
He's
and whatever.
Always there. She even said that. She even had a comment that he's always there.
Yeah, it's like, so I think that this narrative that there's always a Jannetty in a tag team is such nonsense, because it's just not true. And some people, I think that because of how they might be individually booked whenever the tag team breaks up, that somehow validates that one is a Jannetty. I don't think that's true either, because I think that sometimes the guys in WWE, like the higher ups and whatever, the creative team, they're gonna have favorites. So it's like they are probably going to prefer Montez just because he is more of that stereotypical looking wrestler that they would want to be on the cover of their video games and whatever, as opposed to Dawkins. He doesn't have, the 6-pack abs, and he's not like, I don't know, super charismatic in the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that doesn't make him a Jannetty. It's not the same. So I don't know. I was happy for them because I think it's about time that we see the Street Profits. I think there was nothing wrong with them.
Time.
But then the other point that I felt, because as I mentioned earlier, this PWI report that Triple H looks at Twitter and stuff, some of the aggregator accounts were like, okay, what is something that you would want him to see you guys saying? Like, what do you think he needs to improve? And my first thought was, we need more energy and more effort put into the tag team divisions. And I say both divisions because a lot of the other people who were mentioning the tag teams were solely talking about the men's tag team division. No, we need more attention to both. But this is like the reason, because look at how fucking good this match was. That is tag team wrestling. It's like, those types of matches shouldn't be so few and far between. We should not have that problem when there are so many great tag teams in WWE right now. There's no reason for people to not want to see a tag match, or oh wow, this one actually delivered, let me go and watch it again. It's like that should be happening all the time. There should be people who care about who are the tag team champions in the men's and in the women's divisions. And it's like this is just an example of why it will succeed, because that was the main event match on SmackDown, and that was, other than the Andrade and Mello match, was the loudest, of the night. So there's no reason for them to not be putting more energy into making it good. So that's the main thing that I think that they need to address. And I would like to believe that this is just the tip of the iceberg, that they're finally going to be like, all right, wait, let's figure this out, because there's too much going on Raw and SmackDown, and too many good tag teams and stuff in NXT for them to just not care,
and with the alleged signings of certain tag teams, that could not be on the rise at a better time.
Well, and that's why I said, when we've talked about who are they, the Lucha Brothers. Okay, I was going to say that, but it sounded wrong in my brain, so I didn't want to say it. But that's why I said, when we've talked about what if they're coming to WWE, even though one of them is still under contract, so we can't really talk about
Ray Phoenix.
I said that I wouldn't be surprised if they're a little bit hesitant because of the treatment of the tag teams in WWE. It would be a little bit scary, because it's like, yeah, they had this fantastic match on SmackDown this week, but when's the last time they had a great tag team match? Or when's the last time that it wasn't a match that had a disqualification ending because of this, or it wasn't just, oh, this match is happening only because it needs to further this storyline. You know what I mean? I think that if you're going to make sure to bring in these, and we don't know if the Lucha Brothers are coming to WWE, it's just been speculated. But if you're going to be bringing in a tag team like Motor City Machine Guns or something like that, you need to be prioritizing the tag division then, because you can't be bringing these dudes in and then just be like, oh, okay, well, we have them.
What do we got? We don't have to do anything. No, we got to do something with them.
Especially when it's a tag team of that caliber. Even if you want to talk about the Lucha Brothers, you cannot be bringing in that type of talent and then just be like, oh, well, the tag team division, you can't do that. So that's why I'm I'd like to think that maybe they're gonna finally be like, oh, all right, let's get it figured out.
Let's get it figured out. We need it. Let's ride.
Are there any comments before we get to the last part of SmackDown?
Not any that really need to be.
Okay.
Maybe this one from Jay. He believes that it was the match of the night, which,
I think, I don't think you could be wrong if you chose that or if you chose the tag match. Honestly, I feel like it just depends on what you were more interested in, I think you couldn't go wrong choosing either of them. That's why I said it's it kind of feels like both of them were the matches of the night.
It was a tie.
Yeah.
Literally.
So after we see the Street Profits become the number one contenders for the Bloodline tag team titles, Solo comes out with Tama Tonga, and they call out Roman Reigns because it's like, oh yeah, you want my Ula Fala beach? You better come and get it. That's what Solo said, and I was like, oh,
verbatim.
Literally, that's exactly how he said it. And of course, Roman comes out and they stare at each other for a little bit before they get into a brawl. And then after they try to go after Roman, Roman lays them out. He puts on the Ulafala, and it's like all is good again. And then Jacob Fatu comes out of nowhere, beats that ass in a walking boot. And
that was the funniest thing I saw all night, was the fact that Jacob Fatu came out in an air cast and beat the shit out of Roman Reigns.
And
also, after we heard that they were going to separate them until August, and Jacob Fatu just
no, it's like
right
until
across
October.
the face.
We're in August.
Making it worse on his part.
Yeah,
is what you're doing.
Well,
because they were in the ring together, he beat the shit out of him, and then they did a Shield triple powerbomb to him. I mean, that is how SmackDown should always end, in utter chaos.
And always. I think they had to. I mean, I understand the idea of keeping them separated, because if you guys are not aware, Dave Meltzer, who is a fraud, and I feel like more people are finally recognizing it now, he said literally like Friday morning that WWE had no plan of Roman coming face to face with Jacob Fatu anytime soon, that they were going to keep them separated until like Bad Blood in October. And of course, we see at the end of SmackDown, Jacob Fatu came in and beat that ass. So he was wrong again. I understand like the idea behind keeping them separated, especially because there is a belief that Jacob Fatu is, the real tribal chief, or he should be over Solo, that he's a bigger star than Solo, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not arguing against that. But I also think that if they really are trying to build this as Roman versus Solo, you can't then keep Jacob and Roman away from each other, because the anticipation of that happening is going to overtake any feelings that anybody would have about Roman and Solo going against each other. Like, if you're not trying to make a different story a bigger story, then they had to break that right now. And so I think that was the best way that they went about it. It also is like strengthening the Bloodline 2.0, like actually making them look like a threat, instead of Roman coming out and just like beating them up. And then it's like, all right, why are you having such a hard time getting your necklace back? Like, it shouldn't be that hard. You're beating them easily. So I think this was the right move to have him go against Solo, and to have him laid out at the end of the show, despite people thinking that this somehow made Roman look weak. Guys, if every single week Roman came out and annihilated the Bloodline 2.0, why the hell would anybody be interested in seeing a War Games match between them?
People need to...
Roman would be a team by himself. You're saying Roman would be against 5 members of the Bloodline. Like, he wouldn't need anybody else, because he can do it, like... I get it. Like, I don't like it when certain people that are like my favorites look weak, but I also think it depends on the context of the situation. And the context of this is, no, Roman had to be beaten down. Like, he had to
be. He has to be when he comes back. He can't come back and just be like, I'm the tribal chief. It's like, no. Yeah. There has to be a feud. There has to be some tension going on there. Like, come on.
Well, and he's not going to have a match at Bash in Berlin. Likely isn't going to be in a match until Bad Blood. So, like,
doesn't need to be.
You can't be having him dominate the Bloodline for the next 2 months. Like, that would be so boring.
Doesn't make a good story. That doesn't make a good story. You have to think of the why.
The triple power bomb is also pretty impactful for the people who are familiar with the Shield. So I don't know. I'm not 100% like super intrigued by this story right now, just because it has gone similarly at the end of SmackDown over the last couple weeks. But I do think that this makes things a little bit more interesting, because Solo was able to come out victorious. But I think what's going to reel me back into being interested in this is the second that Roman starts talking, whenever that is. And I'm not saying it has to happen anytime soon, but I think the second we hear from him is when things are going to like pick back up for me.
Oh yeah, we haven't heard Roman talk at all. We have to remember this, that Roman has not spoke about anything that's happened since Mania or whatnot. His thoughts about Heyman and the Usos, like, everyone needs to let it play out. Just let it play out. Think of it like a slow roast of a pork.
Like, well, as we said earlier, Triple H loves the slow burn. And again, as I said, they are not going to have a match until Bad Blood in October. It's almost like a guarantee. So they cannot be doing everything in that, that they should or plan on doing right now because they have 2 months to fill. Otherwise we would be complaining about this is so boring, blah, blah, blah. Or it's like, why did Roman come back for this? It's like, no, it needs to be drawn out. So people just need to be patient, and patience is a virtue. I get it. I don't have patience all the time. But when it comes to something like this, where I feel like people have been wanting Roman to come back, you have to be patient then in order to see what you've been begging for 4 months,
Yeah, exactly.
So we can end with any comments if
we can end with any comments because that's it. It's not like Raw. It's only 2 hours. Unfortunately, more dominant faction: Shield or OG Bloodline?
Shield. I think as a faction, as a group, the Shield. If you're talking about because to me the OG Bloodline, it was like Roman and then the Usos. So it's like if you're talking about dominance in the tag team division and as a singles competitor, it's OG Bloodline. But if you're talking about an actual functioning group, I'm gonna say the Shield because they did everything as a group. It wasn't Roman asking for help from the Usos to win a match. It wasn't the Usos cheating to make sure that they kept the tag titles. Yeah.
Calvin, do you think fans will lose interest once Theory and Waller finally split? No,
I
don't think so.
I think that Waller was doing fine before they even put him in this tag team. I mean, he had the Grayson Waller effect. It was like every single PLE, and people hated him, and he was the pot stirrer. He was like the resident pot stirrer. I think it was more so that people weren't interested in Theory, and I think part of that is because he's just not a naturally good heel. So I think if they build this up between him and Waller, and maybe even involve DIY again, because people got really behind that, as I said, when they were trying to potentially lead to that split when they were feuding. I think if they got DIY potentially involved again, then that would be an easy way for people to care about Theory and for people to continue to hate Waller.
Inevitable to me that Waller aligns himself in one way, shape, or form with Johnny Gargano. So that's an easy way to just give him a little rub before he goes off. What?
You think Waller is going to join DIY?
I meant Theory. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry. I was like, I didn't know if you were being like.
Nope.
I was like, that's why I was like confused.
No, but I'm happy I read your face. No, it is Theory. I think it's inevitable. Theory goes over.
Yeah.
He aligns himself there, gets a nice little help until he goes into feuding once again, unfortunately, for the US championship.
Yeah.
So it's all time is a flat circle, basically. But this time we'll actually care that he's a US champion.
Yeah, and as long as he's not obsessed with it the way he was that last time, then
no.
I feel like it's been enough time, but it's not been enough time. You know what I mean? Because he was so intertwined with the US title and whatever. It feels like it wasn't that long ago, but it actually has been a while.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
So,
God. But anyway, that was Smackdown.
That was Smackdown. Not a bad show. And we'll be back on Tuesday for the Raw Rewind. Exciting Raw up ahead as we prepare for Bash in Berlin. And to be on the same road that we are, hit that subscribe button, bell notification every time we go live.
We hit 2,000 subscribers.
And we did hit 2,000 subscribers.
Thank you guys.
Shit. Thank you guys so much. We hit that 2,000. Now it's on the road to 3,000 and so on and so forth. So we keep on plugging away and getting you prepared for not only Bash in Berlin, but the other shit that's going on in the Wrestleverse. And that's why you got to hit that subscribe button and bell notification. Every time we go live, cut clips from all our shows into, little clips for you to watch in case you missed portions of it. We want to keep you informed. That's part of the job here. And what else we got? We got other clips over there. The Bad Gal, where I play as Sara in WWE 2K24 in that female career mode. Way better than the male version. And goddamn, I'm just happy, Sara, that you are not possessed anymore. What the hell am I referring to? You got to go over to twitch.tv/Nonsense Sports Network every Wednesday to watch that unfold. And then social media, it's all in links in the description below. So go check those out and follow us. And that's all I got. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember, you can do it. All you got to do is try. We will see you on Tuesday.